Hi everyone, in this video I will be designing a website for a barber shop. So this is the website that I will be designing. So we have navigation and some links on the navigation bar and a call to action button, and then we have this uh, hero section which contains of a main title, description and a call to action button. So this is our hero section, and if I scroll down you can see we have this about us. So in about us section we have an image on the left side and some text on the right side. Okay, then we have the services section. So these are the different services that this hair salon are providing, and then we have these two call to action buttons, and after that we have this counter section, and after that we have the feature section. So these are the features of this hair salon, and also you can see the link effect when I hover on this link. Okay, after that we have the team section, and when I hover on the team members you can see the effect of these social links which is looking nice. And then we have this review sections. So the review section which we have image and name of the person, and his or her Twitter account ID, and this icon and description. After that we have the blog section. So as you can see the blog section we have this beautiful two blogs which contains of an image and the blog post date. Okay, and after that we have this booking form. So user can fill out this form, so he can book an appointment by clicking on this button. So and then we have the footer section. So in the footer section we have the logo and some description about this hair salon and their social links and working hours, so and contact us. So this is completely responsive. So let's see on different view font width. So I'm gonna show you on different view font width. Okay, so on 1440 on a tablet. Okay, so this is completely responsive on mobile. So this is responsive. So you will be learning a lot of topics I will be covering. I will be designing this from the very beginning. So if you are new, if you don't know about Bootstrap, so you will learn quite a bit in this video. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The link to the starter template will be in the description, so you guys can download the starter template by clicking on this download zip. Okay, so I have opened the starter template in VS Code. So and in the CSS files we have these colors that I have used, and the fonts that I have get these fonts from the Google Fonts. For the heading I'm using this Dilla Gothic one, and for the body I'm gonna use Enter font. Okay, so let's get started. So inside this navigation I'm gonna put the navigation. So for that I'm gonna visit to getbootstrap.com and then click on the docs, then click on the components and navigation. So I'm gonna copy the navigation. I'm gonna copy this navigation, copied, and I'm gonna paste it right here. So I'm gonna remove some of the classes. This should be BG dark, not BG dark, this should be navigation dark, and I'm gonna remove this background from the navigation. And I'm gonna open this file inside a browser. So I'm gonna open this file, so which is this one. So I'm gonna refresh. Okay, the navigation is not looking because I have removed the classes. And let me just reset some of the CSS properties. So default properties, I'm going to change the font family to enter. If this font is not available, the font will be this one, and the color for the text is going to be the body color, and the line height is going to be 1.8. okay, and the background color is going to be this BG1 color. I'm gonna save it and refresh. So as you can see, we can see the navigation. So I'm gonna push these nav links to the right side. So for that, I'm gonna remove this fluid class. Okay, so we have some space now, and I'm gonna add margin start auto. I'm gonna save it and refresh. So these navigations are on the right side now. Perfect. And I'm gonna remove some of the navigation links. So this will go to the home section. Okay, so I'm gonna give this ID of home. Okay, and the text will be home, and I'm going to duplicate this section, these nav links. So this will go to about, services, this will go to about, and this will go to the service section. Services, let's see, services, team reviews, services, home, services, and I'm gonna add this features link also here. So in the finished project I did not include that link, so I will do that now. So this will go to features, text will be features, and then I'm gonna copy this. After feature, it will go to the team, text will be team, and reviews block, reviews, reviews, this will go to the reviews section. This will go to blog, this will go to the blog section, and the text will be blog. And I'm gonna save it and refresh the page. Okay, so we have these links now. So what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna get this scroll spy, and then click on the via data attributes. I'm gonna copy this, and on the body I'm gonna paste it right here, and I'm gonna target the navigation. So what does scroll spy do? So in the finished project we have this, so as I'm in the hero section, so this link is shows that we are in this section, and the home link is active. If I click on the about, so as you can see we are in the about us section, and this link is active. So that what scroll spy do. Okay, so and then I'm gonna add a button. Then I'm gonna add a button right here. I'm gonna add a class button outline brand. Okay, the text will be book now, and I'm gonna save it and refresh the page. Okay, so we will design this button later. So as you can see, this link is active because of the scroll spy. So we are in the home section, the top section. Okay, and now I'm going to rename this Pearl. Okay, and I'm gonna add a hero section. So I'm gonna put section, and I'm gonna give an ID. This will be hero, or we can call it hero section or home page or main section. Inside this hero section, I'm gonna create a container. Inside the container, I'm gonna create a row, not row, and inside this row, I'm gonna create a column LG6. Okay, and I'm gonna copy the text from the finished project. So I'm gonna copy this text, and I'm gonna place this text right here. Okay, and after that heading text, I'm gonna create a paragraph text, and I'm gonna copy this text from the finished project. I'm gonna paste the text right here, and underneath the paragraph, I'm gonna put a button. I'm gonna give a class button brand. I'm gonna save it, and this will say get in touch or something. So I'm gonna design this hero section now. So before designing the hero section, let me reset the heading H1, H2. I'm gonna change the font family for the headings, all the headings. Font will be Della Gothic 1. Save it, and if this is not available, the font will be sans serif or this font. I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna paste it right here. I'm gonna save it and refresh. So as you can see, the font has changed, looking good. And I'm gonna select the image. All the images inside in this website will cover 100% space, so this will make all the images responsive. And I'm gonna give a section space, section padding, section padding top 160 pixel, and padding bottom 160 pixel, and save it and refresh. Okay, so we have some space now. And what else I need to do? So I'm gonna design the hero section first, and then I'm gonna design the navigation. And for that, so I'm gonna type a comment here. The text inside this comment will be home section or hero. I'm gonna call it hero. So I'm gonna select ID hero, and I'm gonna change the background. So I'm gonna place an overlay on the image. Okay, so for the overlay color, I will be putting this color, BG2 color. So I'm gonna put the color here. This will be the first color, and this will be the second color. And later I'm gonna reduce the opacity of these two colors, and I'm gonna put an image. This will be cover 1. I'm gonna save it and refresh. Okay, and I'm gonna reduce the opacity of this color. So I'm gonna click on this and reduce the opacity to something like this, 0.0, completely transparent. I'm gonna save it and refresh. So we have this overlay now, and the height of this hero section is going to be, minimum height is going to be 100 VH. Save it and refresh. Okay, and I'm gonna add a property, background position to center, and background size to cover. Okay, looking great. And the text color should be white for all the headings. So color is going to be white. Save it and refresh. Okay, and I'm gonna increase the font size for the heading. So for that, I'm gonna add a class display3. Save it and refresh. Okay, looking good now. And So as you can see, when I scroll down, the navigation is not fixed. It is not moving when I scroll down. So I'm gonna add a class to this navigation. This will be fixed top. Okay, looking great. And I'm gonna design the navigation now. So for that, I'm gonna copy this text comment, and I'm gonna type here Navbar. Okay, I'm gonna select the navigation bar, and before doing that, I'm gonna set the overlay to start from the left side and it goes to the right side. So the overlay on the left side will be darker, and on the right side it will be like a transparent. So for that, I'm gonna add to right, save it and refresh. So it is starting from the left side and it goes to the right side. So the text is now looking clear. Okay, so I'm gonna design the this logo. So I'm gonna select Navbar brand. So this is the class for that text. I'm gonna change the font family to I'm gonna copy this. Okay, I'm gonna paste it. Okay, and I'm gonna increase the font size for the logo. Font size is going to be 32 pixel. Okay, good. And as you can see on the finished project, we have a background color, but it is not completely solid color on the navigation. So it starts from the top and it goes to the bottom, but on the top the color is a little is darker, but on the bottom it is kind of like transparent. So because of that, the text is looking clear, and I'm gonna do that. So I'm going to select the navigation and I'm gonna set the background. I'm gonna set background linear gradient. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this this linear gradient from here, and I'm gonna paste it right here. Okay, so it will go to bottom, and save it and refresh. So we have an overlay. So I'm gonna increase the opacity for the bottom color a little bit, 0.2. I think 0.2 is looking good. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to design these buttons. Okay, so for that I'm gonna copy the comment text, and here I'm gonna paste it. I'm gonna rename this to button. I'm gonna select the button class, which is common, which is a common class for all the buttons in Bootstrap. So I'm gonna select a button. I'm gonna change the padding. Padding is going to be 16 pixel top bottom and 36 pixel right and bottom. Okay, and I'm gonna change the font family. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste it and I'm gonna save it and refresh. So as you can see, the text has been changed, and I'm gonna give a transition as well. Transition 0.4 second is. I'm gonna save it and refresh. Okay, so I'm gonna design the button brand. Button brand first. I'm gonna give a background color. It's going to be the brand color. Okay, and for all the buttons, I don't want the border radius, so I'm gonna set the radius property to 0. Okay, and on hover I want to change the background color. Button brand on hover, background color will be transparent, and the text color is going to be the brand color. Okay, I'm gonna save it and refresh. So as you can see, and also I'm gonna set the border color to the transparent color, not transparent, border color will be the brand color as well. Save it and refresh. So as you can see, looking great. And I'm gonna design this outline button outline. So I'm gonna type button outline brand. Okay, I'm gonna copy these properties from that button. Okay, so we have this brand button, outline brand button, and I want to change the text color on hover and the background color. So I'm gonna say button outline brand. When on hover, I want to change the background color will be brand color. Okay, and I'm gonna save it. Okay, so as you can see, looking nice. And as you can see, we don't have some space between the button and this nav link. So to give some space, I can use Bootstrap helper class. I'm gonna add a margin start on LG on large device 3 rem and save it and refresh. Okay, so we have some space now, or you can increase the space like 4. Okay, or 3 is looking good. And yeah, everything is looking good now. And I'm gonna change the active link color to the brand color. So okay, I'm gonna copy this, and the navigation here, button navigation, yeah, here I'm gonna type navigation bar, then I'm gonna select navbar nav, and then I'm gonna paste the class here. And when the nav link has a class of active, so I'm gonna change the color for the active link to the brand color, save it and refresh. So as you can see, this color of this link has been changed. Perfect. So I want to give some space between the heading text and buttons and the paragraph. So for that, I can use Bootstrap classes for the spacing, or I can do something like this. I'm gonna type hero, then I'm gonna select the paragraph. I'm gonna type margin top, let's say 24 pixel from the top, and margin bottom 24 pixel. Save it and refresh. So we have some space now, which is looking good. Okay, so I'm gonna design the about us. Okay, so I'm gonna design the about us section. I'm gonna type section, and I'm gonna give ID about. Inside the about us section, I'm gonna create a container. Inside the container, I'm gonna create a row, and inside the row, I'm gonna create a column LG5. Okay, I'm gonna put image here, so it will go to image folder. Then I'm gonna select the about image. So all these images you can download from the GitHub. I will leave a link to the starter template, which contains of images and all the basic stuff. Okay, so the first column will have the image, and the second column LG4. I'm gonna copy this text. The first will be about us, about Pearl Salon, and I'm gonna copy the text, this text. Okay, and I'm gonna copy and paste the paragraph text once again, and I'm gonna reduce some text just like this. Okay, and I'm gonna place an image. It will go to the image, and I'm gonna put the signature image. So I'm gonna save it and refresh the page. Okay, so I want to give some space between the text and image, so for that I'm gonna add a class offset on LG one column. Okay, so we have some space now, and I want the text and image to be vertically centered, so I'm gonna add a class align item center, save it and refresh. Okay, so I'm gonna design the about us. So I'm gonna add a comment. I'm gonna put about. I'm gonna select about. Okay, I'm gonna select about. Then I'm gonna change the color for the H6. I'm gonna type H6. Color will be the brand color. Okay, and I'm gonna give some space between the H6 and paragraphs. I'm gonna type about, select H1. I'm gonna give margin top to something like 16 pixel from the top, and margin bottom 24 pixel. Save it and refresh. So we have some space now, and then I'm gonna select the signature image. So I'm gonna give a class signature. I'm gonna select signature, and I'm gonna set the width to onset. Save it and refresh. Signature. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, in the finished project we have this brand color behind the image. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna select about, and I'm gonna set the property to position relative. Okay, and then I'm gonna do about after. I'm gonna set the width to 100%. Now I'm gonna set the content to nothing. The content will be nothing, empty, and I'm gonna set the width property to something like 25%, and the height to 100%, and I'm going to change the background for this to the brand color. Okay, and set the position property to absolute from the top to 0, and from the left to 0 as well. Save it, and I'm going to refresh the page. So we have this background. Now I want to place the background underneath the image. So for that I'm gonna set the z index to -1. Save it and refresh. Okay, so as you can see, this is looking now awesome. Perfect. So I will design a service section next, so I'm gonna do that. For that I'm gonna create a section tag. Inside this section tag I'm gonna create a container. Inside the container I'm gonna create a class, a row class, and then I'm gonna create a column 12 class, and inside this column, this 12 column, I'm gonna add another class. This will be the intro. Okay, and I'm gonna put h6 about, and I'm gonna put what we provide. Okay, and I'm gonna put paragraph. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this text, I'm gonna paste it right here. I'm gonna save it and refresh the page, and I'm gonna collapse this row, and I'm gonna create another row. Inside this row I'm gonna create column LG4 and column MD6. This means on large and above large it will cover, this div will cover 4 column space, and on MD and below MD, on MD to LG it will cover 6 column space, and below MD it will cover 12 column space. Okay. Inside this column I'm gonna create an image, img. I'm gonna place an image. This will be service 1 image. I'm gonna save it, and below the service I'm gonna put h5 h3, and I'm gonna give a service name. This will be service title. Save it, and I'm gonna copy the text from here, and I'm gonna place the text right here. Okay, and I'm gonna create a link, give a class link more. Okay, so I'm gonna type no more, and I'm gonna place an anchor, not anchor, an arrow. So I have used remix icons, so I'm gonna visit to the remix icon website. Edit ka. Okay, so these are the icons that I have used in this project. So I'm gonna search for arrow, and I'm gonna click on this one. I'm gonna copy this arrow, and I'm gonna paste it right here. And also I'm gonna add a class icon. I'm gonna save it, and I'm going to refresh the page. So this is our service. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the anchor color, body color. Okay, and on hover, color will be the brand color. Save it and refresh. So as you can see, and I'm gonna remove the text decoration, none, and I'm gonna give a font weight 600 and not. So I'm gonna set the text decoration to none. I'm gonna save it and refresh, and then I'm going to design link more. I'm gonna set display to flex. Okay, and I'm gonna set the align item to center vertically. Okay, and when I hover on this excuse me. Okay. When I hover on this icon, so the icon should goes like this from the left side. So as you can see in the finished project, so I'm gonna do that. The length more, I'm gonna set the font size to 13 pixel and give font weight to 600 and text transform per case, and I'm gonna give a letter spacing 1 pixel. Save it and refresh the page. So as you can see, on hover, so I'm gonna give a transition as well to the icon, link more icon, transition to ease. Okay, and when I hover on the link more, okay, I'm gonna select the icon, and from the left side I'm gonna move it translate X on axis. I want to push it like 8 pixel. Save it and refresh. Okay, so you will see looking great. Okay, and I'm gonna reduce the size of this title to something like, I'm gonna give a class h5. Save it and refresh. So the size is looking good now, and I'm gonna set the spacing. So I'm gonna wrap this content inside a div, inside a class of content. So the image should be outside of this content block. So this will be outside of this block. I'm gonna right click and click on format document, and I'm gonna wrap this inside a div. Div, give a class of I'm gonna give a class service. I'm gonna paste it right here. Again, I'm gonna click on the format document, save it and refresh. Okay, so this is the about us section. Okay, so I'm gonna select the, so this is the service section, so I'm gonna give ID of services. Save it. Okay, I'm gonna design the service. So for that I'm gonna select service ID, and I'm gonna change the background to variable dark 2. Save it and refresh. Service, so the ID is going to be services. Okay, so as you can see, the top background color is dark, and this is a bit lighter from that color. Okay, so I'm going to select services, then I'm gonna select the service box, service class, and then I'm gonna select the content. Okay, and I'm gonna give a padding. Padding 32 pixel. Save it and refresh. So we have some padding now, and the text should be in this center, so I'm gonna give a class text center. So this is a Bootstrap class. Save it and refresh. So the link should be inline flex, link more, this should be inline flex. Okay, looking fine. So I'm gonna select service. I'm gonna select paragraph text. I'm gonna give a margin top like 24 pixel, 18 pixel, and margin bottom 18 pixel as well. Save it and refresh. So this is looking good now. So we have to keep the spacing, we have to take care of the spacing from Okay, and I forgot to design this intro section first, so I will do that now. So I'm going to design the intro section, so I'm gonna design that here. I'm gonna create a comment, so I'm gonna select intro and I'm gonna give a margin bottom to something like 60 pixel. Save it and refresh, and then I'm going to select intro h1. I'm gonna give margin top 24 pixel, margin bottom 24 pixel. Save it and refresh. So we have some space now, and I want to reduce the space. 24 is not looking okay, I think, so I'm gonna reduce this to 16. Save it and refresh. Okay, I think it is looking fine, and I'm gonna change this color to the brand color. I'm gonna select the intro and select the h6 tag. I'm gonna change the color to brand color. Save it and refresh. Okay, and as you can see, the text is covering too much space from the left and right, so I want it to cover, so I'm gonna reduce the width of that intro, the paragraph. So I'm gonna select intro paragraph, give a maximum width of let's say I'm gonna give it 500 pixel. Okay, 500 pixel is looking good, I think. Now 450. Save it and refresh. I think 450 is looking okay, and as you can see, the text is on the left side. To make it on the center, so you can add a property margin auto. Save it and refresh. Okay, so I'm gonna increase the width to something like 500. Save it and refresh, so which is looking fine. Okay, so and I'm going to duplicate this service. I'm gonna copy this, paste it, and I'm gonna paste it again. I'm gonna change this to service 2 and service 3. Save it and refresh. Okay, so I'm gonna copy the class, the column class, this one. I'm going to copy this class. I'm going to change the image. This should be image 3 and 2. Save it and refresh. So it is looking okay. Nice. So after this, I'm going to design this this section, and also I am going to include these two buttons, call to action buttons. So for that, I'm going to collapse this row, and I'm going to create another class, div class of, I'm going to give a CTA buttons. Okay, inside this I'm going to create two buttons. This will going to be button brand. I'm gonna type appointment, and I'm going to duplicate this. This will be contact us or get in touch. Save it and refresh. So we have these two buttons. So this should be button outline. Save it and refresh. Okay, and so I want to give some space between the buttons, so I'm going to select the first button. I'm going to add a class margin end on MD on SM to rim. Okay, so it means on small device and above it will going to, the space is going to be 2 rem, and below small, the spacing is going to be none. So I'm gonna add margin start on SM 2 rem. I'm gonna save it and refresh. So as you can see, we have some space now, and I'm gonna reduce the width of this of the browser. So as you can see, we don't have that space. So if you want to give the space also right here, so you can do that. So I'm not gonna do this. I think it is looking good. Okay, so I'm gonna select this class. So as you can see, we have 60 pixel space between the services and the intro. So also I want to give the 60 pixel space between the buttons and the services. So I'm gonna place that class here, CTA buttons. I'm gonna give margin top 60 pixel, save it and refresh. Okay, so we have some space now, and I think it is looking good. Okay, looking fine. So I'm going to design the counter section. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste it right here. So I'm gonna change this to counters. Counters or milestone or whatever you wanna call it. So I'm gonna create a section. I'm gonna give ID of counters or milestone. I think milestone will be fine. Milestone. Okay, I'm gonna create a container inside this milestone. I'm gonna create a row, then I'm gonna create a column LG3, and on SM and above it will gonna cover 6 column space, and below SM this div will cover 12 column space. So I'm gonna put H1, and I'm gonna put some random text like this. I'm gonna type here like this barber salon achieved like they served like let's say this amount of services customers they have served, like I'm gonna type customers served. Okay, something like this, and I'm gonna copy and paste this, and also I'm gonna give a class of counter. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste this, save it and refresh. Okay, and the text will be in this center. Okay, I'm gonna change so if you want to change this numbers and rename this to something like let's say they have won like awards one. Okay, and I'm gonna rename this to something like awards one. Okay, so I'm going to design this counter. Okay, so I'm gonna type milestone, Gonna select the ID milestone, and I'm gonna copy this from the hero, and I'm gonna paste it right here. And the background is going to be cover 2, and I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste it right here, this code, and I'm gonna save it. And refresh. Did not work. Milestone. Okay, so I'm gonna reduce the opacity. So I'm gonna click on this, reduce the opacity 0.8. Oops. So I'm gonna reduce the opacity to something like 0.8. Save it and refresh. So we have this image. So I forgot to add a property to the hero section. The position of the image will be in this center, so I'm gonna give a background position to center. Save it, and also I'm gonna add that property here, background position to center. Okay, so I'm gonna change this the color of this to the brand color. I'm gonna select the milestone, select the H1, color is going to be the brand color. Save it and refresh. So which is looking fine. And then I'm going to design the feature section. So for the feature section, I'm going to copy and paste the services. I'm going to remove this row. I'm gonna create a row. Inside this row, I'm gonna create a column LG4 and column SM6. Okay, and I'm gonna create another class for the feature. Okay, and I'm going to place an icon here. So I'm going to visit remixicons.com, and I'm gonna find some of the icons. So this is very cool icon pack. So you can find some beautiful icons. So I have used this one. I'm gonna search for pen. Yeah, this one. I'm gonna copy this icon and I'm gonna place it here. I'm gonna wrap this icon inside a div and give a class icon. And here I'm gonna create another div. Inside this div, I'm gonna create h3. I'm gonna give a class h5, and I'm gonna put service title. Okay, and I'm gonna place a paragraph. I'm gonna copy the text from here, from the finished project. I'm gonna paste it right here. Okay, I'm gonna save it and I'm going to refresh the page. Okay, I'm gonna give ID of features. Save it and refresh. So if I click on this features, so the link, this should be features. Save it and refresh. So if I click on this, it goes to the feature section, which is looking good. So in the finished project we have the icon on the left side, and the text and the link is on the right side. So for that I'm gonna add another element. So this will be link more. I'm gonna search for link more. I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna paste it right here. Save it and refresh. Okay, so I'm gonna design these features. I'm gonna create a comment, feature, and I'm gonna give a padding. I don't need padding, so I'm gonna set the display property to flex. Save it and refresh. And the text should be, so I want the intro text to be in the center, and yeah, and I'm going to increase the size of the icon. So I'm gonna select feature, icon. I'm gonna give so we have two classes of the same name, so I'm gonna rename this to icon feature. This should be icon feature. I'm gonna increase the font size 44 pixel, and the color should be brand color. So as you can see, the icon is not looking in the right place. So for that I'm gonna give a line height to 1, save it and refresh. So the icon is now looking perfect. And I'm gonna give a margin right 12 pixel, save it and refresh. I think 16 will be good. And then I'm going to select feature. I'm gonna select the paragraph. I'm gonna decrease the font size to 14 pixel. Okay, and I'm gonna give a margin top 16 pixel, and a margin bottom 16 pixel as well. Save it and refresh. So we have some space now, which is looking very nice. And then I'm going to duplicate this service section, this service. I'm going to copy this, save it and refresh. And I'm going to change the icon. So I'm gonna search for fire. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it right here. Then I'm gonna search for user. I'm gonna select this one, I'm gonna copy and I'm gonna paste it right here. Save it. I'm gonna search for hurt. So I'm gonna select this one. Wi-Fi. I'm gonna select this, I'm gonna copy and I'm gonna change the icon here. I'm gonna select this one, copy, and I'm gonna change the icon of this one. Save it and refresh. So as you can see, these services are very close to each other. So to give a space between these services, you can give gutter y to, let's say, 5 frame. So we have some space now, and I think it is looking good now. And I'm gonna decrease the size of the icon, something like a 38 pixel. 36. Okay, 36 is looking good. And the button should be in this center, so you can add a class text center. Save it and refresh. Looking cool. Okay, nice. And so after that we have this team section, so I'm gonna design the team section. So I'm gonna copy this section and I'm gonna paste it right here. I'm going to remove this middle row. Okay, and I'm gonna rename this to team. Okay, I'm gonna rename this to team. Okay, okay, so I'm gonna rename this title and this subtitle to features. So I forgot to do that, so I'm gonna rename this to features. Why we are awesome. Save it and refresh. Okay, so as you can see, this color and this section color is the same, so I'm gonna change the first color, the feature color, features. So I'm gonna select features and I'm gonna change the background color to BG2. Save it and refresh. So as you can see, now it is looking good. So I'm gonna design the team section. So I'm gonna create a row. Inside this row I'm gonna create a column LG6 and a column MD MD6. Okay, this should be 4. This means that on LG large device, it will going to cover 4 column space on large and above large, and it will gonna cover 6 column space on MD, and below MD this will cover 12 column space. I'm gonna create a team member. I'm gonna place an image team member. I'm gonna create social icons or social links. I'm gonna give a class remix icon Facebook fill. Okay, so I'm gonna duplicate this. This will be Twitter. This will be Instagram. Okay, and I'm gonna give another social. Let's search for another social icon. So I'm going to select the Google icon. I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste it right here. This should be inside an anchor tag, so I'm going to copy this. Save it, and I'm going to refresh the page. So this is the page. Okay, so I'm going to design the icons, and I'm going to copy this name. I'm gonna place this h5, and this person is I don't know what this person is, so I'm gonna type some random. So this guy is a hair cutter. Okay, so I want the icon to be hidden, so when the user hover on this image, so the icon should be appear, so just like this. Okay, so I'm going to design just like that. I'm gonna select team section. Okay, then I'm gonna select the team member class. So let's see, we have this class. Yeah, we have this class. So I'm going to design the social icons. So I'm gonna type social icons and select the anchor tag. I'm gonna give a width, let's say 32 pixel, height 32 pixel, and I'm gonna give a background color, let's say variable dark 2 color. Save it, and I'm going to refresh. I'm gonna give a, let me give it a brand color. So I think the color is not changing, so I'm gonna give a brand color. Let's see. Yeah, it is not changing. So let's see the classes, social links. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it right here. Save it. So as you can see, the color is now changing, and I'm going to set the display property to flex, align item to center, and justify content to center. Save it. So as you can see, and the color is going to be dark BG2. Okay, and on hover I want to change the background color for the icons, so I'm gonna copy. On hover I'm gonna change the background color to be the brand color, and the color is going to be, the text color is going to be the BG2 or BG1. Okay, looking great. And also I'm going to add a transition to this anchor tag. Okay, so looking good now. So I'm going to select the team member. Team member. Okay, and I'm gonna give a position relative. Okay, and I'm going to select social icons. Social icon should be at the top right here. Okay, I'm gonna save it and refresh. So I'm gonna select team member social links. I'm gonna set position to absolute. Okay, and I'm gonna give it from the top to like 30 pixel. Okay, so as you can see, the icon is here, and I'm going to increase the width to like 42, save it. 46 or 48. Okay, now looking good. So I want the icon to be right here. For that, I'm gonna add a property. From the right side, I'm gonna give a 30 pixel. Okay, so I'm gonna add a transition to the social links. Okay, so I'm going to hide, I'm gonna from the top, this is going to be 0, and I'm gonna hide these icons. I'm gonna give opacity 0. Okay, so let me hover on the team member hover. When I hover on the team member, I'm going to select the social icons, and then I'm going to give the opacity to 1. So as you can see, this is now appearing, and from the top I'm gonna give 30 pixel from the top. Save it and refresh. Looking good. And this should be a paragraph tag. Save it and refresh, and the text should be in the center, so you can add a class text center. Okay, and you can use Bootstrap classes, magenta forum, something like this. Looking cool. Now the team section is ready. I'm gonna paste it a couple of times. This will be team member 2, team member 3, and I'm going to refresh the page. Okay, looking nice. Okay, so now I'm going to design this reviews section. So I'm going to duplicate this team section. I'm gonna paste it right here. I'm gonna give a class, I'm gonna give an ID of reviews or testimonial, and this should be reviews. Our customers. Save it and refresh, and I'm gonna remove this middle row. Okay, inside this I'm gonna create a column LG4, and on MD this will cover 6 column space. I'm gonna create a review. Okay, and I'm going to give this a background color of light. Background color should be a little bit lighter, BG2. Save it and refresh. Okay, so as you can see, we have an image, text, and an icon. So this will be like a one block, and this will be another. So I'm going to use a flex property, a flex box. So for that I'm gonna select you can use Bootstrap classes. So let's say I'm gonna create a div. Inside this div we will put an image and a text. So I'm gonna put image. It's going to be a better one. Okay, and then I'm going to add another div which will hold our content, our text h5. I'm going to copy this text. I'm going to put small tag. So I'm going to copy this. Okay, and this will be, and I'm gonna put an icon. So let's see, we have this will be one block. Okay, and I'm gonna put an icon here, and I give a class of class icon review. I'm gonna put simple icon. I'm gonna place Twitter icon, remix icon, Twitter fill, save it, and I'm gonna refresh the page. Okay, I'm gonna copy this text. I'm gonna put the text right here. Okay, so let's design this section. So I'm going to select the review section. I'm gonna give a padding 32 pixel. Okay, and I'm gonna select review image and set the width to 70 pixel. I'm gonna give a border radius 100 pixel. So let's set the width to 60. And now I'm going to, you can use flex box. So I'm gonna add a class display flex. Okay, and I'm gonna give some space. So I'm gonna select the text, margin start 3 rem. Okay, looking good. And from that then I'm going to give margin bottom 4 rem. So I'm gonna select the paragraph, margin top 4 rem. Okay, so the color for the feature is going to be dark, and this should be light, and this should be dark. So I'm going to select the feature, background is going to be dark, so I'm going to remove this, and the theme background color is going to be light. Okay, team member, no. So this color is going to be dark, team color is going to be light. So I'm going to select team ID, background color is going to be dark, dark 1, and the feature color is going to be light. Features, let's see, dark, light. This should be light as well. Features, the feature color is dark. Okay, so the feature color is dark, dark, but the theme section is going to be light. And this should be dark, BG1. Okay, looking fine now. And I'm gonna give the review to background color light, BG2. Okay, and I'm gonna put an icon right here. So the icon that I have placed, it's not showing, so I'm gonna search for Twitter. So I'm gonna copy this on the reviews. So I'm gonna place the icon right here, save it and refresh. So the icon is right here. So I'm gonna design the icon. So I'm gonna select review icon. I'm gonna give a width something 42 pixel, height 42 pixel. I'm gonna set the display property to flex, and I want the icon to be in the center of the box. Justify content center. Okay, I'm gonna give a background color brand color. Okay, and the text color is going to be dark. Okay, and I'm going to give a border radius and the icon should be right here. So you can do like what you can do, you can set the width, the position property of this icon to absolute. Okay, from the left side it's going to be 0, sorry, from the right side. Oops. So if I set the position this review box to relative, so it will be moving. So let me just set the review to position relative, save it and refresh. And I'm gonna give a padding from the right side is going to be 32 pixel, looking great. And from the top is going to be 0. Oops. Yeah, I'm gonna remove this, save it. Okay, so the review section is ready. I'm going to duplicate this. Six times. Okay, and I'm gonna give some space between the reviews box. I'm gonna give a 5 frame or 4. Okay, and I'm gonna change the images for this. Now one is going to be 2, 3, 4 and 5. So should be 6. Save it and refresh. And yeah, so for the review section that's fine. So what we have after the review section, blog section. So I'm gonna design the blog section. I'm gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna paste it right here. I'm going to remove this row. I'm gonna create a new class of row. So I'm gonna place two items on this row on large devices. So for that I'm gonna create a class LG4. On LG I want to display 4, and on MD I want to display 6. Save it. I'm gonna create a class. I'm gonna create a article tag, and we have a class blog post. I'm gonna place an image, blog post 1. Okay, I'm gonna copy this text. So I'm going to refresh the page. Wow, this is not the image. So let me see. Blog post. So these are not the images that I have used in the finished project. So these are the images that I have used. So I'm going to rename this to blog post 1, blog post 2. Okay, so I'm going to and here I'm going to create a div. I'm going to give a class of date. I'm going to put the date here. So this blog has posted on 12. This will be day and year. So I'm gonna give a class day, and I'm gonna duplicate this. This should be year. So year or month. So this will be like September 2099. Okay, so I'm gonna save it and refresh. So this should covering like this should be covering 6 column space on LG. Okay, and I'm gonna put title here. I'm gonna put H3 and give a class H5. So I want the size of this H3 to H5. I'm gonna copy the text from here. I'm gonna place the text. I'm gonna put paragraph. I'm gonna paste it right here, and below here I'm gonna place link more. So I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna paste it right here. Save it and refresh. Okay, so this should be block. Should go to the block, looking fine. So I'm going to design the date. So I'm going to select blog post. I'm going to select the blog post. So I'm going to change the color, background color to dark. Save it. The background color is going to be light dark. Why it is not changing? Okay, so I'm gonna design the blog post. I'm gonna select date, select blog post, position relative. Okay, and design the blog post. I'm gonna give width, say 90 pixel, height 90 pixel. Okay, and I'm gonna give a background color, brand color, save it, and the text should be in the center. Okay, so I'm gonna increase, let's see, so I'm gonna increase the blog post day, so I'm gonna select the day. I'm gonna increase the font size to, let's say, 32 pixel. And I'm going to change font family to Della Gothic 1. This is going to be this. Save it, and I'm going to give the line height to 1. Okay, so I'm going to change the color. Color is going to be dark, so dark color. And also for the blog post, here color is going to be dark. And this should be in the center. So I'm gonna wrap this inside the div, and now I'm going to add a property to this date, display flex. Okay, align items center, justify content to center as well. Okay, and I'm gonna increase this size to, let's say, 100 will be fine. Okay, and I want to move this icon, this date, right here. I don't need this text align center property. Yeah, I need that. Okay, so I'm going to push this date to the top. So I'm gonna add a property position absolute. From the top it's going to be 30 pixel, from the left 30 pixels. Save it and refresh. Okay, looking good. Okay, so the title is going to be, I'm gonna remove this. This should be H4. Okay, and I'm gonna give some space. I'm gonna select the paragraph. I'm gonna give a class margin top and bottom 3 rem. Okay, and I'm gonna select the H4. I'm gonna give a class margin top 4 rem or 5 rem. 5 rem is looking cool. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this. This will be blog post 2. Save it and refresh. I'm gonna change this title as well, so this will be blog I'm gonna type latest from the blog. Okay, looking nice. Okay, now I'm going to design the booking form. So for that I'm going to duplicate this. Let's see, I'm going to duplicate the milestone. So I'm gonna put it right here. Rename this to booking or appointment. I'm gonna remove this row. Okay, I'm gonna remove this text center as well. I'm gonna place a row, create column LG 8. Okay, so this will be my form. So inside this form I'm gonna create the input field. So I'm gonna create a I'm gonna add a title right I'm gonna add a title right here. I'm gonna say book I forgot the spelling of booking now or book now. Okay, booking now or appointment. So appointment, book appointment, this will be book. And I'm gonna place some text. Okay, I'm going to save it and refresh, and I'm gonna change the background image. So I'm gonna wrap this inside. So this will be a row. Okay, I'm gonna place this inside a div block. This will be column 12. Okay, inside this column I'm gonna paste it this text. I'm gonna format this. Okay, so below this column 12 I'm gonna create another column 12. So this will cover 12 column space. Inside this column I'm gonna, so this will be, let's say I'm gonna give a class form group, and I'm gonna add a class column 12. Okay, and here I'm gonna put an input field. Type is going to be text. Class is going to be form control. Okay, so this is the Bootstrap class, and placeholder is going to be full name. I'm gonna save it and refresh. So we have this input field, full name, email address, date, month, year, and message. So I'm going to duplicate this. This will be input type is equal to email, address. This will be type text. Placeholder is going to be day, month, and year. So user will enter day, month, and year in this format, and then I'm going to duplicate this column, and here I'm going to place text area. Okay, I'm going to give a class form control. I'm going to save it and refresh the page. So we have this form. So Let me give a color for this form, bg dark, yeah, or bg yellow, not yellow, bg warning. Okay, so as you can see we have this form, so I want the form to be in the center. So what you can do, you can add a class justify center, save it and refresh. Justify content center. You can add a class like margin X from the margin left and right auto. Okay, so now the form is in the center. Perfect. I'm gonna remove this warning class. So I'm gonna design this form and I'm gonna add a button. So I'm gonna remove this. I will leave that. So I'm gonna put a button. So I'm gonna add a class button brand. This will gonna say submit. Type is going to be submit as well. Save it and refresh. Okay, so I'm gonna design the form. I'm gonna select booking. So I'm gonna rename this to booking. So I'm gonna copy the code from this, and I'm gonna paste it here. Save it and refresh. Okay, looking good. Okay, I'm gonna give a background color to the form booking. Then I'm gonna select form background color, background color dark one. Okay, and I'm gonna give a padding as well, 32 pixel. Okay, and I'm gonna give some space, so this should be row. So you can give a space like this, gutter top and bottom for rim. So we have some space now, so I don't want this space. I want to space only like between the text and these fields, so I'm not gonna do that. So what you can do, you can select this and gonna give margin bottom 5 frame or 4. Yeah, 4 is looking good. Now I'm going to design the form. Select the form and I'm gonna select form control. Okay, and I'm gonna give background color dark 2. Okay, and I'm gonna give a border radius 0. Okay, and I'm gonna give some space from the margin top, something like 12 pixel or 16. Okay, looking good. And also I'm gonna give a border color. Let's see. Okay, also I'm gonna give the border color to dark 2. Okay, so I'm going to increase the height for these input fields, not for this text area. So for that I'm going to select input field. Okay, I'm gonna give a height 58 pixel, save it. Okay, and I'm gonna reduce the rows to like 5. Okay, 5 is looking good. And also I'm gonna give a placeholder. Okay, looking good. And on the focus I don't want the shadow. So as you can see, when I click on this, so this is the focus state and we have this shadow, so I don't want that shadow. So I'm gonna select input when on focus. On focus I don't want box shadow, none. Okay, so we don't have that shadow, so this should be form control. So as you can see, we don't have that shadow. And from the left side I'm gonna give a border 2 pixels solid BG2 color. Okay, and on focus I'm gonna change the border left color to brand color. Okay, so as you can see, and I'm gonna give some space from, then I'm gonna select the button. I'm gonna select this magenta for him. Okay, looking great. So let's see. So as you can see, I'm typing, but the color is dark, so I'm gonna change that. So I'm gonna select the color is going to be the body color. Save it and refresh. So let's see. So now I'm typing, so as you can see the color, nice. So I'm going to design the footer. So I'm gonna copy this will be footer. So I'm gonna copy this will be footer. I'm gonna put footer tag. So I'm gonna create another class, footer top, create a container. Inside the container I'm gonna create a row. So as you can see, we have this column and these 2 columns. So the first column will be this logo. So I'm gonna place column LG, let's say 4. So I'm gonna put logo. This will be Pearl. Okay, and I'm gonna place some text. I'm gonna copy the text and I'm gonna place it right here. And I'm gonna put the social icons. So I'm gonna search for social links. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna place it here. Save it and refresh. Okay, so this will be the first column. So I'm going to create another column LG3. So in this column I want to place the title. So this will be H4, and then I'm going to create another div. This div will hold this content, so I'm going to copy this H6. I'm going to paste it here. Below this I'm going to copy this. So this is the working hour, and I'm going to duplicate this. Okay, so I'm gonna place the text right here. I'm gonna refresh the page. Okay, so then I'm gonna duplicate this column. Okay, this will be contact. Okay, so I'm gonna place an icon and contact us. So for that I'm going to remove this. I'm gonna put a paragraph. Inside this paragraph I'm gonna place an icon. This will be the location icon, remix icon. So let me search for the location icon. I'm gonna search for location. I'm gonna copy this. Okay, I'm gonna place the icon right here, and I'm gonna copy the text. Okay, so I'm gonna duplicate this paragraph. I'm gonna put I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste it right here. Okay, then I'm gonna search for the call or poon. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it right here, and I'm gonna change the text. This will be the poon number. This will be their email address. I'm gonna right click and then format document. So let me refresh the page now. Okay, so let's design the footer section. So this will be the footer top, and below this I'm gonna create another class, footer bottom container. I'm gonna create a row. Inside this row I'm gonna create a column auto class, and this will be the copyright text. Okay, I'm gonna duplicate this, and I'm gonna put, so this theme is designed by me, so I'm gonna put right here, designed by this person. Okay, so I'm gonna save it and refresh. So I'm going to design the footer. So I'm gonna type footer, I'm gonna give padding top, 160 pixel, save it and refresh. Okay, so I'm going to design the first column. Okay, so for that I'm gonna collapse this. So I'm gonna give a space, margin bottom 3 rem, uh, 3 rem. Okay, and I want this to be display horizontally, so for that I'm gonna type footer, and I'm gonna select social links. I'm gonna copy and I'm gonna paste it here. I'm gonna say set the display property to flex. Okay, looking nice. And if you want to give some space, so you can do that. And I'm going to select the anchor tag. I'm going to remove this and I'm going to give margin right like 5 pixel. Okay, looking nice. So I want this content to be on the right side, this column and this one. So for that I'm gonna add a proper class justify content between. No, I don't want that, so I'm gonna select this column. I'm gonna type offset LG1. Okay, so now we have some space between this, and also I want to adjust the space between this. So for that I'm gonna give class margin bottom 3 rem. Okay, and this is looking good. So I'm gonna design the footer bottom. I'm gonna select footer bottom. I'm gonna have padding top 30 pixel, padding bottom 30 pixel as well. Save it and refresh. Okay, and I'm gonna give a border top, so I'm gonna give one pixel solid, okay, so as you can see the line is touching the footer top, so I'm gonna select footer top and I'm gonna give a padding bottom 30 pixel as well. So we have equal space between the footer top and footer bottom, and the line should be dark, too, and this text should be on the right side. So for that I'm gonna add a class justify content between. Okay, so as you can see text is on the right side. So let's see the responsive. So I'm gonna check the responsiveness. 1440 looking good. Okay, so let's see on the laptop. looking good. Let's see on the tablet. Okay, looking perfect. So yeah, we have problem here. So as you can see, all the columns are very close to each other, so it is very hard to read which section, which text belong to which section. So I'm going to give space, so I'm gonna select this row. I'm gonna give gutter top and bottom 5 frame. I'm gonna save it and refresh. So as you can see, we have some space now. Perfect. So let's see on the mobile. Okay, looking great. So at this point you can see these two buttons, CTA buttons are touching each other. So you can fix this by let me search for CTA. You can give a space like margin top and bottom 3 rem. Okay, so let's see the buttons. So this is on the service. See on the service section. So we have some space now. So you can add the class like margin top and bottom 3 rem or 2 rem. Okay, 2 rem is looking good. Okay guys, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, so yeah, like the video and comment. If you have any question, feel free to ask. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.